Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video we're going to be talking yet again about raids, because this is effectively the end of the first week of raids. I don't know why this thing is showing up bugged, at least for me a bit, but we all have finished a new nation. All the bosses have been taken down. And obviously, so there are things to be addressed. And again, despite what people might think of me, I genuinely do want this game to succeed, do the best. I want Kabam to do everything to the best of their abilities. And I want to love and enjoy anything and everything new they bring to the game. That does not, however, mean that everything they release is great and, without need of improvement at all. And that is especially visible with raids, because the first thing that really kind of pops into the mind is that we're effectively being used as a beta tester, because this game mode by no means felt quote-unquote ready for player base, because every type of different tuning is completely way off when it comes to, well, the entire system of it to begin with. It seems so counterintuitive to Kabam what Kabam has been trying to do with Alliance Quest to make it more bearable. Again, reducing the 5 days to 4 days to give us a bit of personal life back, and then effectively making raids a 7-day commitment, and again, increasing significantly reliance on, waiting on the teammates and making sure that the fights are ramped up, especially at the start of each boss, but also when your charges fall below. It does not seem at all whatsoever that the quote-unquote allocated revive amount is, fair or workable. At the very least, initially, right now, it does not seem that. I don't think that there has been any battle group at all anywhere that has made through the raids with the revives that Kabam has provided, even if they played pretty much perfectly. Because it's borderline impossible to do the 10% damage in many of the fights when you're ramping up, especially with some of the champions and some of the matchups. Ultron boss is an absolute nightmare to ramp up, and that fight does not seem to be well thought out at all because of the region on the energy damage back, because of the node needing alternate specials. It takes forever to ramp up as well, so that alone takes you a whole bunch of revives to even get your teammates ramped up in the Ultron fight. And all of these things obviously we do need to talk about and we do need to address, because yet again I do think that raids can be awesome. I do think that the idea is not bad, having 1 week of instead of Alliance Quest doing something else and being it harder and being it more challenging. It's just that at the moment, this entire thing feels like an absolutely not thought out game mode that's quite cash grabby. There was no need, for instance, to make the single revives for raids to be like 200 units. Honestly, it was easier to use this free AQ revives and then just buy a single potion. So that price economy there immediately does not make any sense, because we can just use level 1 or level 2 team revive that we get super cheap for loyalty or weekly from the summoner advancement or something like that, and then get the 45 unit potion and you're almost basically there, or 2 of them. Even if you need to spend 90 units to heal up after that revive, you're much better off. Again, it's like half price. So that revive thing, again, the economy, whoever came up with the price point is just really dumb there. And it pretty much characterizes everything surrounding raids. And I refuse to believe that people at Kabam properly played through this from the beginning to the end. And I guess that is the bigger criticism, because here is the second point. Already have seen, I think, 3 smaller content creators retire basically because of raids and because of the rest of the game issues, pretty much, because it is no secret this game has issues with inputs and the game economy and other stuff. And raids just kind of seems to have been the final breaking point for quite few players who are either stepping back on much more casual alliances or just leaving the game altogether. Because it's not necessarily that, personally, I wouldn't believe that Kabam is going to fix the raids and make them more realistic or playable. I think they will. I think they're going to make adjustments eventually. And, raids as a game mode is going to be much more user-friendly. Hopefully, if Kabam listens and they, understand what they're doing. The problem is that this game mode at the beginning yet once again kind of shows a lack of hindsight, a lack of, thought process put into this, and how it makes people feel. And that yet again reinforces the idea that Kabam themselves are extremely alien the sentiments of the player base, and they do not get it, they do not understand, or they do not care about the player base nowhere near enough, because they always release something outlandish, something completely awful, then there is community backlash, and then they fix it. Like, this game's 10 years old. By now, they should know what we like, what we don't like, how we like these things as a player base, and they do not always need to kind of like play to please the player base, but they do need to take those things in consideration, without a doubt. And they continuously refuse to do so. Even with the release of Battlegrounds, if you remember, first of all, the introduction of Elder's Marks is something that nobody really likes, but Kabam uses it as another way to monetize the game mode, obviously. But even with that, the initial point tuning, the way we scored points, effectively set the game mode where, losing is pretty much better for you. And that just shows this lack of thought process, where they fail to account for the player base themselves and what players care about. And again, that becomes pretty much clear with almost every single game mode or new thing that they bring to the game, where they have like these insanely over or under tuned things, and then they eventually kind of get better. They do get better, and that's why I'm saying I do believe that raids will get better. But for that to happen, obviously, we need to reduce, first of all, the block damage in the boss fights, especially something like Thanos mission fights, where, you take a block 40k damage, sweet, you die trying to fulfill the mission. That has to go, right? Now, we need to do something about this entire system where you can only fight twice a day, and that becomes a 7-day commitment. They need to increase the daily revives and perhaps put a cap on weekly. That could work. Like, if we can get all the revives in a single day or in a couple of days, but there is still some sort of limit that we get for like 1 gold. Speaking of that limit, that absolutely has to be increased. Again, as I said, I don't think any team, any battle group, any alliance got through the raids with the, allocated resources Kabam gave us. So that's, absolutely another thing. And then obviously the fights themselves, especially Ultron boss fight, is just dreadful. There needs to be some sort of increased power gain if we ramp up by alternating special attacks. First of all, that ramp up needs to happen on activating special attacks, not landing it, because that immediately makes several champions, for, like in my case, Massacre was completely unusable in this fight because I need to use level 1, which is, not ideal for Massacre if I want to go for level 2s only. But then it also meant that I need to connect my level 2, which means I cannot do any damage through block if I want to be ramping up. So it just makes very little sense. There are so many champions that could like do basically no damage to Ultron properly. The ramp up is super slow in the fights, and that fight definitely needs to be looked at yet again, as well as the Thanos fight for sure. And then we can talk about, generic tunings, attack values, the time the fights take. I think we should get at least another half a minute, because often first minute or so gets spent, just ramping up, trying to get to the point where we can do the damage. I think the assault nodes and champion list needs to be reworked, because I don't think there are very many great options compared to the other two. There are a lot of stuff like that needs to be done, and, seemingly people do agree, because again, I have seen people already, kick back, retire because of raids. And this is the one thing that I want Kabam to kind of get from this video as well. Every time they release game mode like this, where it genuinely feels like we are the beta testers, it pushes people away. It pushes people in retirement. It pushes people to take a break for several months or quit the game altogether. And that definitely has been the case with this game mode as well. I myself, I'm not making that big of a deal of the game mode being as bad as it is, but the thing that, hurts or annoys you or frustrates me the most is that they release this in the first place. Not the fact that it's bad, the fact that they don't get why it's so bad and how it's so bad, and they actually put this in the game without letting, CCP properly test it, without having us given a beta test, because, it's clear to an absolute moron and an idiot the things that are wrong with this game mode. And the only thing it would have taken is like 1 week of teams going through, and we could have identified these issues, and they wouldn't have had any, real bearing on the actual, resources on the actual team, everything else. But they just had to push this out, and it's shit, and now they're going to have to fix it, which hopefully they do by the next time. The last thing that I did not mention yet, another is definitely a problem, is rewards being completely random. Now, I did not do the most work like in my battle group or even in my trio. I did my best, but I didn't. But on the very last chest, I got 20k Titan shards. That's me. Yay, I got lucky. Obviously, I'm happy about getting 20k Titan shards. But even as being the beneficiary, even as being the recipient of the broken RNG busted reward, it feels like it's just wrong. Where, many of my teammates who played a lot harder, invested many more resources. And I had to use a ton of, AQ potions and some units as well to finish that raid week, by the way. But still, there were people who did more, without a doubt. And they get in total not even a full tier 6 CC. Whilst I got like, I think, almost a full tier 6 CC and Titan Crystal in total. So that's not right. That's not what this game should be at all. It doesn't generate, the feeling of camaraderie. And come on, definitely do need to fix that. Either make those rewards selectors and all of the rewards be like more meaningful. You can have in a tier 6 CC selector or half a tier 6 CC or some Titan shot or something. Or just, narrow the gap up, increase the amount of tier 6 CCs that people are getting, increase the minimum 7-star or Titan shard amount that people can get, and decrease that 20k shard thing as well. Because, yeah, there is a very good reason why we got rid of AQ crystals. There's a very good reason why we got rid of Alliance War Season crystals. There was absolutely no need to effectively bring the same thing back in with the new game mode. And again, people's sentiments definitely are like, quite explicit. Not that I'm gonna be honest, and so there we go. But the random rewards, here we go. Random rewards are unfair. Completely agree. RNG rewards are not able to buy cheaper rewards, can make it less motivated to play. And in general, it's very, very, very hard to find anybody really, saying that they enjoyed this or liked it or stuff like that. I think it's quite clear how the community feels about raids. I think Kabam has a lot of work to do. And, we all get emotional at times. So do I. Like, my best rants about raids happen during live streams, but, I have said some explicit things also in some of my videos before. And, I still stand by it. These things can get you extremely, extremely frustrated and upset, and they do, get me too. Especially because I want this game to do well, and then I consistently see all of this happening where these are completely unforced errors. Again, as I said, one full week of beta test for alliances, or, giving us unlimited revives just to do the first week so we can see how well or poorly we do and we get used to it, or something like that, could have had this, even in its current configuration, much better reception if, for instance, Kabam just gave us unlimited free revives to play through the raids for the first time, so Kabam can see how many items we use, so we can see how it's going to look like, and we can give feedback for Kabam to fix it next time. They just dropped it on us without any proper testing, without any proper tuning, costing us, our units and our items, frustrating ourselves and our teammates with RNG rewards, with obviously them getting stuck in the fights with insanely unfairly tuned bosses at times. And yeah, if Necropolis was one of the best event launches they have had recently at all, then this has been one of the worst game mode launches, I could say, because it's bad, and they definitely do have a lot of work to be done. Let me know what you guys think. How do you feel about raids in general? Are you hopeful, or are you, already abandoning hope? Do you plan on playing in the raids next month when the raid week comes around yet again, or are you going to be skipping it? I know a lot of people who do not want to touch raids pretty much ever again after their first experience. So yeah, I'm definitely want to know what you guys think. Might make a follow-up video. Hopefully Kabam is going to make a post about raids this month as well. But yeah, let me know all that good stuff, and I'll catch you guys soon. Bye-bye. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about